What is going on, my homies? Welcome to Fireballs. Dude, you can see why it's Fireballs, right? A little bit red. So what we're gonna do today is I'm gonna give you a quick walkthrough of my boat and show you a couple of the cool accessories, precision sonar stuff that I got on my boat, the function, why it's there. Sometimes it's just to look cool, but sometimes there's a very good reason. But I'm gonna kind of walk you through and show you a couple ways you can tweak your boat out for fall and for winter going into next season. So hit that like and subscribe button. Let's get to it. So we got a lot going on the nose here. I'm gonna start with the big stuff. I run a triple mount graph bracket, and a lot of guys are like, man, that's still overkill. And it's like, yeah, it is, but I also used to fish out of a John boat. So if I can put 3 graphs on the front of the boat, I'm going to. What's cool with this thing is with my Nitro, it allows me to still kind of set up that trolling motor and set that 3rd graph apart. It's also kind of cool because it's suspended on a pretty stout bracket. Never had an issue running big water with it. The other thing is, you know, with YouTube and doing all that kind of stuff, I fished a few derbies. We go and we run some tournaments on like Lake Lanier, down in Florida, around Alabama. I do some traveling. So I'm like every guy. I'm in Walmart parking lots. I'm in Subway parking lots, you know, and I got to just roll in and leave my boat there. So one thing I've done is I've added these precision sonar graph locks. It's just peace of mind, dude. We got so much money in electronics with forward facing stuff, with mapping and all the new school stuff. Having a lock on there at least lets me know I'm going to get 5 minutes to go get my piece and chase the dude down if he tries to, you know, jack my stuff. You know what I'm saying? So on the front, on the trolling motor, I do run a prop nut, and I also run the Ninja blades. You know, I fish Gunnersville. There's a lot of grass. Anything that I can do to make the trolling motor run a little cleaner through grass is just something I have to do because I love flipping, I love punching, I love frogging. I want to get up in that stuff. The deeper I can get, the further away from everybody else I can get. The other thing is I do run a 0-degree mount. This has been a huge player for me with forward-facing sonar. I know a lot of guys don't like forward-facing sonar. I'm not one of those guys. I love fishing grass. I love fishing forward-facing sonar. It's absolutely fun. And what that 0-degree mount does, it allows me to track my bait better from basically entry into the water all the way down as it sinks down to the fish and then back to the boat. It gives you that straight shot and you don't lose that tracking on your bait. It's a much more reinforced mount than the standard mount that comes with my Active Target 2. It's metal, it's stout, it's adjustable, gives me a lot of flexibility, and it doesn't, you know, I don't have to worry about it breaking off if I'm hitting some big choppy kind of water. So let's roll back to the captain's seat. I want to show you that, and then I'm going to show you a few kind of tweaks that I did in the back of the boat to kind of pimp this thing out. I feel like I should be wearing like my Gilligan's hat when I'm here, dude. So this is the captain's seat, right? And I have, once again, the graph locks right here. Once again, peace of mind, dude. Walmart parking lots, right? Everybody's been there. So I have a double graph mount. The reason I do this, I think it's kind of unique. A lot of guys are running like 16s or 10s, or they have all these different graphs on their boats. I've always liked running 2 Lowrance HGS 12s and doing this double graph mount. So they did an improvement for this year where this double mount, instead of being flat, it's actually kind of angled in. It's got kind of a gamer look to it. You know, it's got that concave, which is sweet because the graphs actually surround you. But the reason I like running all the same graphs, I can take this graph, put it on the front if I need to back up my Active Target graph. I can take one and put it here if I'm doing a lot of scanning. And any little kind of contingency I can do to ensure that things run smooth, I'm gonna do it. So let's slide onto the back. I'm gonna show you some more stuff. Old Fireballs is bootylicious, dude. Got a lot going on in the back between the power poles and everything. So one of the biggest things that I've done, and I think you guys saw, I think it was like Wes Logan a couple years ago, dude. He's fishing that derby and he had his motor jump out, dude. Like it ripped off, or I don't even know exactly what happened, but dangerous situation, right? And especially going into like winter, fall, dropping water conditions, there's a lot more situations when you can whack the old Mercury, dude, like hit the lower unit. And the problem is not, obviously it's a problem if you whack your motor, but the big scary problem is if that motor were to actually jump in the boat while it's running and act like the shredder right next to you, dude, because then it's not just something being damaged, it's yourself, dude, and nobody wants to be in that situation. So I have a leash on the back of my boat, and it's very simple. It solves that problem. It's a giant steel cable that will never allow that Mercury to jump in my boat, no matter if I hit a rock, I hit a stump, whatever. I've put one on my boat for the past 2 years. I will never have one on my boat. It's peace of mind, dude. So I got that red on there. I do it in the red because I kind of like do it to accent the boat. I did it in blue last year for Spaceballs. The other thing that I have is a transducer mount that mounts to my jack plate. I think that's really important because it's a super strong mount. The Lowrance mount is decent, but I have had situations where it kind of like flops up. So as long as you're in a situation where you're not on a lake where it's like stumps everywhere, because in that situation, you want a transducer mount to actually break away. You want it to flop. You know, we have some stumps, we have some hard cover, but for the most part, you know, the TVA, fishing in Florida and that, it's grass. I don't have to worry about that. I like that solid mount that mounts to the jack plate. It gives me better tracking. It gives me a more consistent return on my sonar because you're not getting a bunch of vibration in that transducer. It locks it in, it's stout, and I don't have to worry about angles changing when it comes to the reed. If I set that thing up and get it where I want it to be, it's not going anywhere. So the last thing I got on my boat, I have a pretty crazy like lithium setup, all precision sonar. I have two 36-volt precision sonar lithiums for my trolling motor. They're just parallel together. And then I actually run an independent battery for my graphs and then another battery for cranking, the 150 amps. So I got the two 36 volts for the trolling motor for the Ghost. Dude, I can run for days, especially with my power pole charge. And then with the 150 amps, I have that cranking motor battery. And what that does is that covers me for my pumps, my live wells and all that. And then I run that independent battery for all my graphs, my active targets, my NEMA 2000 network, all my Lowrance HGS 12s. And what that does is it provides just straight, clean, no interference power to all those graphs. So I'm not getting any signal interference, I'm not getting any static, things along those lines. I also have a C-Clear harness in there. Now, the really cool part about what I got is, so basically that independent graph battery, it's 150 amp hours. I'll run that until whenever. You know, obviously I try to charge the boat every day. Sometimes you forget, right? Or sometimes you're fishing, and it can die. That's just reality. So I actually have a switch in my boat where I can switch from that graph battery back to my cranking battery and then run all my graphs and all my electronics off that cranking battery just with the turn of a switch. So it's kind of a redundancy, safety switch, backup switch. So power is never impacting my fishing, dude. I always have enough power to run the graphs, get around, do whatever I need to do. So that is a wrap on Fireballs. This thing is pimp, dude. I never thought I would have a boat like this, and I absolutely love it. If you guys got any questions on the accessories or functions, or wonder if something might fit kind of a need or a problem that you're running into with your boat, hit me up, or hit up the guys at Precision Sonar. Joe and those dudes, they're super cool, man. They've really helped me design and tweak a boat and make it exactly how I want it, from an accessory, a battery, a power, a transducer management standpoint. And dude, to be honest with you, like, I really value my time on the water, and I want to get the most out of it. And that's exactly what some of these things have done for me, dude. And they look cool, dude. So hit that like and subscribe button. Go check out Precision Sonar, and we'll see you next time out on the water talking fishing and hanging out, boys.